What's going on, baseball fans? How you doing? We're handing out some grades for the off season. Let's not waste any time. Let's get to it. And what's going on, baseball fans? How you doing? Hello. 77 people in the chat. That's what I like to see. Alrighty, the goal was 75. We got to 77. Alrighty. How's everyone doing? Oh, we're at 80 people now. What's going on, everyone? How you doing tonight? Alrighty, I'm seeing a lot of familiar faces. Moderators, hello. David Knight, Com Center Sports. What's going on? Banana's here. Nicholas is here. BZ Baseball is here. Josh Lipchinsky is here. Ruben Joseph is here. NHOJ Crab is here. What's going on? JH Sports, what's going on? Orioles is here. Hello. Southsider 14, what's going on? Hey, what's up? 1122, what's going on? How are we doing? YD is here. Hello. Yogi Dude, Redman, Wizardy Plays, Tyler Golisano, Liam DeZuna, Marcus A. What is going on? Steve. Oh, what happened to it? Steve DeMatteo, what is happening? Chris Rodriguez is here. AJ Ayala is here. What is going on? Hello, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful Thursday. It's Thursday, right? Yes, it's Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday. I'm excited. Got the weekend coming up. But, man, James Scott is here. What's going on? Trevor Thomas, hello. Hello. Frankie Diaz, what's going on? But, yeah, we are officially getting into spring training mode. Pitchers and catchers reported yesterday. So, hey, pretty nice to see all of these pitchers and catchers popping up in pictures on Twitter and whatever else. Seeing all the videos, seeing guys getting interviewed, blah, 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 blah. Hey, it's just really nice to see. So, we're kind of starting to wrap up the offseason now. We do have some guys that are still out there. You still got Jake Odorizzi out there. You still got Jackie Bradley Jr. out there. Trevor Rosenthal did sign with the Oakland Athletics. That was huge. I was talking with Ballcap Sports the other night, and he suggested that the A's should go after Trevor Rosenthal. My first thought was, yeah, on paper, that would be amazing. But the A's just never really seem to want to spend that money. And hey, they went and spent the money. Good for them. So I think that was a great move. I think that definitely keeps them absolutely in the thick of it in the AL West. That AL West to me is so wide open this year. I think that you have an argument for the Angels, the A's, the Astros, even the Mariners I think could make some noise. But good signing for the A's today. I thought that was a great move. Yeah, so like I said, I do know some guys are still out there on the market. But you know what? Hey, you snooze, you lose. I gotta hand out the grades. I can't wait any longer. I can't wait till next week, because next week I want to getting started with some previews for this upcoming season. I don't want to talk about the offseason anymore. I'm done with the offseason. To be honest with you, I was done with the offseason when Trevor Bauer signed. Once that happened, that was like one of the most hectic 2 hours of my life. That was ridiculous. But once that happened, I was just completely done with the offseason. So I'm ready to hand out some grades. But yeah, so we might as well get right to it. Before I get started, if I may, as always, if you are new in here right now, think about hitting that subscribe button, especially with baseball season right around the corner. I'm talking baseball here all the time. So think about hitting that subscribe button. If you are looking for more news and content in the baseball world, think about hitting that like button as well, because the more likes, the more it's going to get out there to the people on YouTubes. And go follow me on Twitter. I'm talking baseball there throughout the day. So I'm going to keep this nice and simple. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use Tier Maker. I got it all set up. And I'm going to simply hand out an A, a B, a C, a D, or an F. I was thinking about doing like the plus minuses. But to be honest with you, the reason I did not do those is because it was too much. It was too many rows, and I don't want to play around with all that. So keeping it simple, A, B, C, D, or F. I'll talk about if I think a certain team gets a plus or a minus, but I will rank them simply A, B, C, D, or F. And hey, this actually kind of fits right up my alley because I am a second grade teacher. I do have to grade papers. I have to grade tests. So hey, both of my worlds are crossing right now. So hey, I have some experience handing out some grades. Now, will I be able to do these grades properly? We'll have to wait and see. But alrighty, everyone. Let's just go ahead. Let's get started. So let me make sure everything looks pretty good here. I just want to make sure. Here we go. All right, sharing the screen. All right, let's see if this looks all right. I'd say this looks fine. Let me move this over just a little, because I don't want my face to be blocking anything. So let's see. Okay, that looks good to me. I think we can start off there. You know what? I'm actually going to raise it just a little higher, and I think that might be good. All right, cool. All right, that looks pretty good to me. Everyone give me a thumbs up in the chat if you think that looks all right, and I'll go ahead and get started. I did put an A+. Because I think there are a couple of teams that deserve the A+ on here. So give me a thumbs up if this looks good to everyone. If everything looks smooth. All right, lots of thumbs ups. All righty. Well, let's go ahead. Let's get started. So, all righty. First team on the list. We're going to go with the Angels. I don't think these are really in any order. Is it ABC order? I think this is ABC order. So, hey, perfect. Sounds good to me. So we're going to start with the Angels. With the Angels, this is a tough one to me because they did make some moves. So if we go take a look at what the Angels did this offseason. So if we take a look at the guys that they've added, not really anything special. I think a lot of people were really high on the Angels going after a Trevor Bauer. That would have been big, but that didn't happen. So they brought in some other guys. They brought in like Jose Quintana. You brought in a Raisel Iglesias. That was pretty good. Let me actually take a look. Let's look at the trades as well. And then, like I said, you traded for Raisel Iglesias. You did trade for Jose Iglesias. You brought in Dexter Fowler. You did bring in Alex Cobb as well. But, overall, when you just look at just the moves that they made, just nothing really substantial. And when you take a look at this team, it's not, I don't know. It's still just, I think it's definitely better. I don't think they're not a bad team by any means. I definitely think they're better than what they were. A lot of it's going to ride on what Ohtani does this year. What is his health going to be like? I would have liked it if they were able to bring in someone else. Now, could you still go after a Jake Odorizzi? Absolutely you could. Will they do that? I don't know. Who knows where Jake Odorizzi is going to go? I'm not really sure. For me personally, I think they had a decent offseason. I don't think it was the worst offseason, but I think they made some moves to improve their team. I'm going to give them a C. I think that, I don't know. I don't think it was a great offseason, but it wasn't a bad offseason by any means. So I'm going to go with a C. So Houston Astros. This is an interesting one. So I'm going to be using Fangraphs for everything here. They have a nice little system where they break everything down, where you can look at all the free agents that they brought in, all the trades. So let's take a look. Okay, here we go. So taking a look at the free agents that they brought in. Really the most noticeable guy to me, well, Michael Brantley was the guy they brought back. It looked like he was going to the Blue Jays at one point, so that would have definitely lowered their grade a little bit. They brought in Pedro Baez. You brought in Steve Cishek. But the biggest loss here, George Springer, you're losing one of your biggest bats in the lineup. That's not good. Josh Reddick, he's on his way out of town too. Roberto Osuna. I feel like they didn't really do a lot with this bullpen. You brought in Ryan Stanek as well. Let's check out did they make any big trades? No, they didn't really make any trades. So if you're looking right now at the Astros, so right now, like I said, you have a big gaping hole with George Springer not there, so that's a big loss. But then, nothing really starting pitching-wise that they did. But like I said, they added a couple pieces in the bullpen. I don't know. I'm not too impressed with this offseason. I'm going to give the Astros a D. I just don't think... they made a couple of moves. You brought in a decent arm in Pedro Baez. Ryan Stanek could be pretty good too. But I'm going to go a D with the Astros. Again, they didn't just completely stand pat, but they did a couple of things. They still could bring in someone like a Jackie Bradley Jr., but I'm going to go with a D. I think that's, at least in my head, that's fair. Going to the Oakland A's. Are, as of today, again, brought in Trevor Rosenthal. So that was huge. I mean, you lost to Liam Hendricks, but now you brought in a guy like Trevor Rosenthal, 1-year deal. What did he get, like $12 million or something like that? But overall, hold on. Where is the offseason tracker? You brought in Sergio Romo as well. You did bring back Jed Lowry. Could he get back to the old Jed Lowry? He used to play with the A's. He's getting up there in age, so I don't know. But Romo, I mean, it's fine. They did make a trade. They made a couple of trades, actually. They brought in Adam Kolarek. I think that's a decent arm for the bullpen. You traded away Chris Davis. You brought back Elvis Andrus. So then also going back to the free agents, I feel like there was someone else. Who was the other guy? I don't remember. Or am I just going... I think they brought back Mike Fiers. They brought him back, so they kept him in the fold. But then you're losing some guys like Robbie Grossman, Tommy La Stella. Like I said, Liam Hendricks, Mike Minor. Well, they traded for him, so he's on his way out of town. Marcus Semien. I don't think this is I don't know. I really like them bringing in Trevor Rosenthal. I still think this team is pretty good. I still like the offense. You got some bangers in this lineup. I just love Matt Olson and Matt Chapman in the middle. I like me some Laureano, some Mark Canha. Oh, they brought in Mitch Moreland as well. I think that was who I was trying to think of, Mitch Moreland. So, hey, who knows? Maybe that could end up being pretty decent for them. The starting pitching still looks pretty good. It would have been nice if, maybe they got some kind of an arm, but I don't know. I think it's fine for what it is. And then the bullpen, Trevor Rosenthal was big. To be honest with you, I'm going to go... Man, I'm feeling generous. I'll go a C. Because they really saved themselves with Trevor Rosenthal. I would do like a C- if I did the minuses here. So, oh no, the calf neck army is back. Oh man. Oh, calf neck army. It's 9:52 at night. It's past your bedtime. So I'm gonna go with a C with the A's. I think the Trevor Rosenthal signing was that last second move to kind of save their offseason a little bit, at least salvage it a little bit. So I'm going to go C. So, I mean, not the best moves, but you know what? I still think they've done enough to keep themselves competitive. Hold on one second, everyone. I need to plug in the iPad. I would go with a C-. But because we're keeping it simple, I'm going to just put them in the C. So, alrighty. But that's where I'm at. Moving on to the Toronto Blue Jays. Here we go. One of the bigger off seasons here. So let's take a look at Toronto. I mean, we mentioned George Springer earlier. That was the big one going to the offseason tracker. Let's take a look at the free agents. So they've made quite the additions. Richard Urena, Tyler White, Tyler Chatwood, just to name the first few here. Kirby Yates, big one. I love Kirby Yates. Still think he has potential to be one of the better closers in the game. George Springer, obviously the big one. Marcus Semien was big. Francisco Liriano, David Phelps as well. There's still some potential there. But then not really too much that was leaving town. Taijuan Walker. Could Taijuan Walker still come back? I don't know. Matt Shoemaker on his way out. Ken Giles. That's fine. You brought in Kirby Yates. Travis Shaw. They brought back Robbie Ray as well. Overall, did they make any trades? Oh, yeah, they got Steven Matz too. Forgot about that. Overall, I mean, when you get a guy like George Springer, I mean, to me, one of the most consistent bats in the game. I mean, how could you not go with an A? How could you not go with an A? I'm not going to go A+ because I think they still left some to be desired a little bit. I would have been great if they could have brought in like a pretty good starting pitcher. Could they still bring in a Jake Odorizzi? I think if you bring in a Jake Odorizzi, I think there's an argument you could have an A+ offseason. But I'm going to stay with an A. I think that's fair. Moving on to the Braves. Here we go. Taking a look, what did the Braves do? No trades for the Braves, but for additions. So they brought back Marcell Ozuna. That was the big one. Going to keep that lineup intact. Charlie Morton, I thought, was really good. Awesome signing there. Drew Smyly, more depth for the rotation. Hey, Pablo Sandoval on a minor league deal. That might make me bump the Braves up to an A+. I'm just saying. Jason Kipnis they brought in. They did actually lose quite a few guys. Jeremy Walker, Adam Duvall, Charlie Culberson, Tommy Malone, Tyler Flowers, Nick Markakis. They have lost a few guys here. Cole Hamels never even really pitched. Did he even pitch an inning? I don't even know. Shane Green, could he come back? I think that's a decent arm. I'm a little worried about this bullpen. I'm not big on this bullpen right now. I think they definitely could have used an arm to bring in. I mean, they got Nate Jones here, but he's on a minor league contract. I don't know. Taking a look at him, what did he even do last year? Not really great numbers at all. But I'm a little worried about this bullpen. I definitely think they brought in an awesome guy like a Charlie Morton. They brought in Drew Smiley. They needed some depth. I'm going to go with a B. I think that's fair for the Braves. I'm going to go B. Milwaukee Brewers. Here's an interesting one. Going to the Brewers. Alrighty. They made a lot of deals here. Let's actually, is there a way to, I don't really care about the minor league ones. All right, whatever. But if we're taking a look here, Colton Wong, that was kind of the bigger one. Jordan Zimmerman as well. Could Jordan Zimmerman have some kind of like a renaissance, kind of a ending to his career? Could he figure something out, get himself really back on track? Besides that, though, I like Colton Wong. I thought that was good. So now but the thing about Colton Wong is that it's also like kind of like an addition by subtraction kind of a move, because you're getting Keston Hiura's defense off of second base and moving to first, and now you're completely doing a complete 180 on defense at second base. So Colton Wong, one of the best defensive second basemen, replacing one of like the below average gloves out at second. So I thought that was pretty good. And then did they make any trades? Oh yeah, they traded Corey Knebel. So, but other than that, they brought back Travis Shaw. Could the mayor of Ding Dong City do something? We'll have to wait and see. But overall, I don't know. I'm not seeing too much in this offseason. I definitely think the Brewers can be a pretty good team. If we look at this team right now on paper, like I said, you got Colton Wong right there. I mean, you're kind of banking on some bounce backs. You know, what's Travis Shaw gonna do? Interested to see if he can get something going again. I still like the pitching. Would have been nice if maybe they could have added a pitcher. I don't know. I'm not really too high on this. I like Colton Wong, but I just don't think they really did a lot. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go with a D. I don't think they really did really a lot. I don't know. I think they made a couple of moves, but I just don't think they really made any like huge, big moves. I don't know. I'm just not feeling it. If they brought in maybe like another starting pitcher or another arm for that bullpen, I don't know. I'm just, I like Colton Wong, but I don't know. I'm not really seeing too much here. But moving on to the Cardinals. So the big one with the Cardinals, Nolan Arenado, that was the big one. So here we go. Going to St. Louis. The Cardinals were basically just standing pat for so long. Here we go. Offseason Tracker. Alrighty, as you can see here, not really too much. You brought back Adam Wainwright. You brought back Yadier Molina. So I thought that was pretty good. Other than that, there's not really too much that they did. But like I said, the big trade was the Nolan Arenado trade. I mean, you definitely get it. You're getting a big bat in that lineup. Overall, though, yes, Nolan Arenado is really going to help them with their grade here, but they also traded away Dexter Fowler. I mean, not a big loss in my personal opinion. That's going to make some room for Dylan Carlson. I'm going to give them a B because, it's not very often you get a big bat like a Nolan Arenado, but it would have been nice if they made some other moves. So I think it's fair. I'm going to go B for the St. Louis Cardinals. Moving on to the Cubs. Here we go. Very interesting offseason for the Cubs. Just an interesting team in general. The first guy you see here is Yu Darvish and Victor Caratini. Yu Darvish was on a heck of a run last year. Not the most competitive division. But man, it's not very often you get rid of a guy like a Yu Darvish and then you basically just get a bag of magic beans in return. You got a whole bunch of upside prospects. They definitely lost the trade according to baseball trade values. But free agents, they did make some moves. They brought in Brandon Workman. They brought in Jake Arrieta. They brought in Jake Marisnick. You brought in Trevor Williams, Jock Peterson. They made a lot of moves. Holy cow. Like, if you look at the moves they made, you brought in Austin Romine. They made a lot of moves. I'm not going to give them an F. I'm going to give them a D. I actually, I think I don't like the Yu Darvish trade very much, but I actually think they did quite a bit. If I would give A D minus, I would do a D minus to the Cubs, but because we're keeping it simple, I'm going with a D. I'm not going to give them an F. I'm not going to give them an F because I don't know. I think they made all these other little moves to kind of get themselves a little out of that hole, trading away Yu Darvish. So, and hey, that division is still pretty wide open. The Cubs could definitely still make a run at it. Here we go. Moving on to the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks to me were a little disappointing this offseason. The Diamondbacks to me, man, I still think this team has talent. If you go take a look at this team right now, let me straighten this up a little bit. If you look at this team right now, it is looking okay. You still got some decent guys here. You got Ketel Marte. I like Cole Calhoun. You got David Peralta, Escobar. They did bring in Asdrubal Cabrera. I think that's a pretty low-key, decent signing. I still like the pieces in their lineup. I still think you can have a pretty fun rotation. Zach Gallen, Madison Bumgarner. That was one of their big additions last offseason, but he was a complete bust last season. Can he turn it around? Luke Weaver was not good last season. I just think they could have used another starting pitcher. I don't know. I mean, I just don't think they really did anything. You brought in a Joakim Soria. I don't know. I'm really disappointed in this Diamondbacks offseason. I just am. You know what? I'm going to go F. I'm going F for the Diamondbacks. I think they had a terrible offseason. I don't think they had a good offseason at all. I still think they have some talent on that team. But the fact that they didn't make any good moves, they made a couple of moves, but I'm going F. I just don't think they really did a lot here. So, alrighty, moving on to a fun one here, the LA Dodgers. So, the Dodgers. Let's go take a look. Trevor Bauer was the big one. Trevor Bauer was the big move. So, taking a look at the offseason tracker. Okay. Now, looking at the free agents. I actually really liked some of these other free agent moves that they made. Really love the Tommy Kahnle move. That's going to be good for next season. You brought in Corey Knebel in that trade. You did lose Jock Peterson to the Cubs. You did lose Pedro Baez, Jake McGee, Alex Wood. Kike Hernandez, I think, they're going to have to figure out that utility role a little bit, but I think they're going to be fine. You re-signed Blake Treinen. You re-signed Justin Turner. I mean, how could you really have a bad offseason when you're getting the best starting pitcher on the market? Again, Trevor Bauer did pitch in my opinion, a weak division. I think that Cy Young, in a way, was a bit of an anomaly. I don't really buy into that Cy Young too much. I think Trevor Bauer, you're going to see a mid-threes ERA kind of a guy. But I did like this offseason overall for this Dodgers team. They really set themselves up. And they brought in Ronhell Ravalo, too, on a minor league contract. Watch out for this Ronhell Ravalo guy. He's got some of the best freaking exit velocity out there. He's 29, but I don't know. That could be maybe a decent bat off the bench if he can make the team. But looking at the trades, so like I said, you brought in a guy like Corey Knebel. This is a guy, man, he threw gas. If he can get back to his old self, that would be awesome. You did trade away Dylan Floro, Adam Kolarek, but I really like the job that they did this offseason. I think you got to go A. I think you got to go A here. So, solid offseason for the Dodgers. You're getting the best pitcher on the market. I'm going with a solid A. The Giants. Here's an interesting one. The San Francisco Giants. Moving on here. I'll tell you, I like doing this tier thing. This is kind of fun. I kind of like this. This is nice. It's nice and colorful. You got the pictures. I like this thing. I might have to use this thing more often. Man, hey, give me a thumbs up in the chat if you would like for me to use this thing more often with, I don't know what I would use it for, but I kind of like this thing. Give me a thumbs up if you kind of like the tier maker. Should I keep doing this? Should I keep using it for other things? I don't know. Let me know in the chat. But here we go. Moving on. Maybe I could use this actually for, I don't know, like position players and stuff. I don't know. I have to maybe think about what I could do with it. After this video is posted, maybe you guys can post some ideas of what I could use the tier maker for. Maybe you can put it in the comments after this video is published. But moving on to the Giants. Here we go. They did trade for a Sam Coonrod. Could be a decent arm for the bullpen. Free agents, you did bring in Aaron Sanchez. Supposedly this guy is throwing pretty hard right now. He's a bounce back candidate. Aaron Sanchez had himself a heck of a year not too long ago in 2016, 15-2 record, had a 3 ERA, 3.55. He had a pretty good year that year, but he's really kind of fallen off the rails ever since. So I don't know, maybe go to San Francisco in a spacious ballpark like that. That could end up being pretty good for him, and he's throwing pretty hard and looking pretty healthy. You brought in guys like Jake McGee, Tommy La Stella, Alex Wood, and then you re-signed Kevin Gausman as well. So I thought that was fine. I don't know. I'm not really like too impressed with this offseason. I don't know. I'm not feeling this offseason really too much. I don't know. I like Kevin Gausman. I just think the Giants could have done more. I'm going to go D. I just don't think they really did a lot. Not like they're going to be, I don't know if they're really going to have much of a chance against the Dodgers or the Padres, but I don't know. I just don't like too much what they did here. So I don't know. I'm going to go with a D for right now. You could bump up to a C. Could they bring in maybe a Jake Odorizzi? I predicted Jake Odorizzi to go to the Giants in the beginning of the offseason. So could this happen? We'll have to wait and see. But I don't know. I'm not too impressed with the Giants right now. Not too impressed. Moving on here. We have the Cleveland Indians. And this is an interesting one. Why am I on that one? Here we go. Cleveland Indians. You had the big trade of Francisco Lindor. Let's start off with that. So you traded away Francisco Lindor, Carlos Carrasco, but you did bring in, super chat coming in. Nick Roman. Dodgers run 7 starting pitchers deep. Man, Gonsolin beasts. Absolutely, man. The fact that's another thing with Bauer. It's just stretching that rotation. And you guys, like, if someone goes down, you got May or Gonsolin, even a Josiah Gray down in the minors that could step in at some point. How could you hate that Dodgers starting pitching? Thank you so much for the $2.99 super chat, my friend. Thank you. But for the Francisco Lindor, Carlos Carrasco trade, you know what? You weren't going to bring Francisco Lindor back. There's no way they were going to bring him back, for the money that he was going to want, for the bidding war that you were going to get into with him. That wasn't going to happen. Carlos Carrasco, he's not getting any younger. You shed some salary. I do like Carlos Carrasco, but I think these two definitely going to be better fits with the Mets. But what I did like this package they brought in. Andres Gimenez could be one of the next best shortstops in the game. Already has a great glove. Only 22 years old. You brought in Ahmed Rosario, young player, can move around a little bit. He has a bit of a bat. Isaiah Green, Josh Wolf for the minor leagues. I actually liked this trade for the Indians. If we actually go to baseball trade values. And if we go actually take a look at that trade, Francisco Lindor to the Mets. As you can see here, this is actually a very even trade. The Mets getting 41.60 points of value, while the Indians got back 40.10. So I think this is a pretty good trade for the Indians. They got back some young talent. Very similar to the Mookie Betts trade. Kind of like a lower tier Mookie Betts trade with the Red Sox and the Dodgers. But I like this trade. I thought they did well in bringing back some decent guys. But as for free agency, here we go. So not really a lot. I did like them bringing back Cesar Hernandez. You brought back, who's the other guy they brought back? Oliver Perez they brought back. He's going to be on a minor league deal, though. You brought in Eddie Rosario. You brought in Heath Hembree, Billy Hamilton. Not really too much here. I'm kind of struggling with this one a little bit because I want to give them a C because I think they did okay with that trade. I think they did the best that they could with that trade, and they actually still have a pretty decent team. I was kind of struggling a little bit. You know what? I'm going to go a C. And it's not because I like the trade that they made. I think they did a good job in that trade. Are they going to be really competitive this year? We don't know. But I think they did a good job in setting themselves up for the future, bringing in a really young shortstop that has a ton of potential. I'm feeling generous. I like that the Indians, they did the best they could with that trade. And you know what? I'm going to give them a C. I think they actually did pretty good. I'm gonna go there. If I would go a C minus. But we're keeping it simple. I'm gonna go with the C. Feeling a little generous. Here we go. Mariners. Seattle Mariners. I think we're about halfway through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Almost halfway through. Going to the Mariners. Here we go. 138 people in the chat. Awesome to have you all here. Thank you so much. Hit that like button if you haven't hit that like button yet. So, Mariners had a pretty interesting offseason. Made a lot of additions, a lot of minor league contracts. But they brought in James Paxton recently. I think that's going to be really good for them. Ken Giles, he'll be there next year. Very similar to that Tommy Kahnle deal. Not really a lot. I mean, Chris Flexen, he's a young arm. Could he do something? I don't know. You brought in Kanan Middleton for that bullpen. Not too much going on, like free agency-wise. I mean, I did like the James Paxton move. Really liked that a lot, going back to Seattle. But you did bring in Rafael Montero. That's going to be good for the bullpen. I like some of the moves they made for the bullpen. You brought in a good arm in James Paxton. I would go a C+ for the Mariners. But because we're keeping it simple, I'm going to keep them in the C range. I like that. I think they did good. I think you could actually see the Mariners be pretty competitive this year. Going to the Mets. Oh, man, here we go. Another big one. Could we see another A team here going to the Mets? Okay. Alrighty. Let's take a look at the trades first, because that was the big one. Brought in Francisco Lindor. That was huge. Carlos Carrasco. That was huge. Awesome. Brought in Joey Lucchesi. That was awesome. You brought in a good prospect in Khalil Lee. I thought that was great. I thought that was awesome. You brought in and you brought in a Jordan Yamamoto as well. I mean, he's still very young. He still has some good stuff. I like Jordan Yamamoto a lot. I think he could end up being something. Free agents. You brought in James McCann. You brought in Aaron Loop. You brought in, who was the other guy for the bullpen that they brought in? Trevor May, Kevin Pillar, Albert Amora. I mean, you got so many things. What they did, they addressed so many needs this offseason. You addressed yourself at shortstop. You addressed yourself at catcher. You brought in some center field defense, which they really lacked last year. You brought in another starting pitcher for the rotation. This was awesome. You brought in also, I think look out for this guy, Sam McWilliams. I think this guy could have some kind of a breakout year. He actually agreed to a major league contract. He could be a good arm in that bullpen. Look out for him. You know what? I love the offseason that the Mets had. Sure, they had their tumultuous times, in the media with certain people in the front office. But, oh my, you also brought back Marcus Stroman. I mean, I'm going A+. Awesome offseason for the Mets. I mean, how could you not give them an A+? They addressed so many needs. They just did so many good things for their team. They plugged in so many holes. This Mets team, A+ for me, easily. Here we go. Going to the Marlins. With the Marlins, not too much this offseason. They did bring in some guys. You brought in some guys. You brought in Adam Duvall, free agency. You brought in, who was the other guy they brought in? Was that a trade, actually? Oh, yeah, you brought in Dylan Floro. So that's going to be okay for the bullpen. Not a lot. Not a lot for the Marlins. Not a lot. You did add some guys via trades. I don't know. You brought in Simber from the Indians. You got some guys. But free agency, not really too much. I mean, you're not going to see the Marlins spend a lot of money. You're not going to see that Marlins team for a while. They're trying to get those young guys going. I don't know. Just with the Marlins, I mean, I think it's fine. I don't know. I'm going to go with the D. They made some moves. They stayed active. But they just didn't really do much to me. So, going to go with the D. Moving on to the Nationals. Here we go. They had a bit of a fun offseason. David Knight is here. He is antsy about this one. Washington Nationals. They had a very productive offseason. Here we go. Free agents. Let's start here. You brought in a John Lester. You brought in a Kyle Schwarber. You brought in a Brad Hand. Hey, Blake Swihart, former Red Sox. You brought in Alex Avila. They made a lot of moves. Gerardo Parra, Baby Shark, coming back. Hey, Sam Clay, that was a very, very interesting signing this offseason. Keep an eye out for Sam Clay in that bullpen this year. Minor league guy for his whole career, and they gave him a major league contract, so look out for him. And then trades, they made some trades. Brought in Josh Bell. power hitting guy, add some more thump to that lineup. You know, I like the moves that they made. They were productive, and I liked that. I liked that they were productive. You did see Michael Taylor leave. Brock Holt ended up not really being anything for them. Kurt Suzuki going to the Angels. That was another guy the Angels added. Sean Doolittle on his way out of town. Cabrera's on his way out of town. I'm going to go with a B for the Nationals. I think it was a fair offseason. Not any like substantial, crazy kind of moves, but I like the offseason that they had. Was it the level of like a Blue Jays, Dodgers, or Mets? I don't think so, but I think it was a solid offseason. They made the right moves, so I'm going to go B. Orioles. Here we go. What the heck did the Orioles even do? What did they even do? They brought in Felix Hernandez. That's pretty much it. Here we go. Orioles. The Orioles really aren't. They're not set up to do anything. So it's kind of, you can't really grade them in that way based off of who they brought in, because they're just on a different timeline right now. But they did bring in some guys that maybe they can get their careers turned around. Matt Harvey, Felix Hernandez. I think these two guys, if you can get them back on track, hey, if they have a good first half of the season, maybe you can trade them, get some prospects back for them. Could be pretty good. So that could definitely help them in the long run. Trades, they got rid of Alex Cobb. Actually, you know what? I actually really like that they got Jahmai Jones. I really like him. Really young. He can kind of move around. He can play the infield. He can play in the outfield. I really like that a lot for them. I thought that was pretty good. If we go to take a look at him, I believe he was the... Actually, let me go take a look at the Orioles. He was one of the Angels' top prospects. I believe he was in the top 10. Where is he now with the Orioles? Is he even here? Is he still on the Angels? Where? Wasn't he one of... I thought he was... Where? What number prospect was he? I could have sworn he was in the top 30 with the Angels. Or is this the Orioles top 30 that good? Or am I just going blank? Am I thinking of someone else? I don't know, but whatever. They got a decent prospect, so I thought that was pretty good. Good for them. In the minor leagues so far, he hasn't really done too much. He has a decent on base in the minor leagues. But overall, nothing crazy. Taking a look at the home runs, fine. Taking a look, he's got some speed. I think it was a decent pickup for them. Overall, I don't know. What were they going to do this offseason? You really weren't going to do anything of the early Orioles. I think it's just, I'm just going to go with the D. I'm not going to give them an F because they got a solid prospect in Jones. So, he's number 19 in Baltimore. Why am I not seeing him on the list? Seeing Alexander Wells. Where is he? I remember he was higher in the Angels system. So, I don't know. But, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to go with a D because they did at least get a solid prospect this offseason. They got rid of Alex Cobb. What were they going to do with an Alex Cobb? They got rid of that contract. You know what? I'd actually feel like maybe even being a little generous with them, giving them maybe even like a C- or like a D+. It's just you can't really grade them kind of like how you would grade the Blue Jays or the Dodgers. They have different goals. So I'll just stay with a D. I'm not going to give them an F because they at least made a decent signing or a decent trade to get a decent prospect. So moving on, here we go. The Padres. Look at that old logo. All right, so right off the bat, we're going to go F for the Padres. I'm just kidding. Hold your horses. So moving on here. Going to the Padres. Okay. Alrighty. We got a lot to unfold here. Let's start off with the trades. So, right off the bat, you're bringing in Blake Snell. You brought in Yu Darvish the very next night. Brought in Joe Musgrove a couple weeks later. You also got Victor Caratini, backup catcher for Yu Darvish. Good grief. Like, what the heck? And then, it doesn't stop there. They went to free agency, too. They got Ha-Sung Kim. I mean, that was a good one. You brought back Jerickson Profar. I mean, you are losing Kirby Yates and Trevor Rosenthal. Ah, man. Because that's one thing. They did bring in Mark Melancon. I thought that was pretty good. Do they have Melancon on this list? Where is he? They brought in Melancon. And they also brought in Kella as well. But why aren't they on this list? Have they just not updated it? But you got Melancon and Kella should be on this list. So, but then also, Fernando Tatis Jr., you got him locked up. You also got Mike Clevinger locked up to a 2-year deal as well. So, I mean, what else is there to say? I mean, they had as good as an offseason as you could have. They filled in a lot of needs. They did what they needed to do to stay competitive. And we got a super chat coming in. Puro Psycho Billy with a $10 super chat. I'm a bit late, but I'm here. LOL. Thanks for coming out tonight, my friend. $10 super chat. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that you're here. Hope you're having a good time. But San Diego Padres, A+. I mean, what else is there to say? Personally, I actually think the Mets had the better offseason than the Padres. Some could argue that I'm crazy, but I think the Mets overall had the best offseason. That's just my opinion because the Mets just filled in so many holes where they filled in holes everywhere. And with the Padres, I think they could have maybe used some more sure guys in the bullpen. I like Melancon, but I think Kella has a lot of upside. But they made some great moves. A+ for the Padres. I mean, holy cow, what an offseason for them. But I am going to give the top spot to the Mets. So, moving on to the Phillies. Phillies had an interesting offseason. They were crying poor at one point. Then all of a sudden they brought in Dave Dombrowski. Everyone was wondering what the heck is going on with the Phillies. And yeah. And then all of a sudden they kind of started making some moves. So moving on here. Where are we at? Free agents. There we go. So let's start off with the free agents. You brought back Didi Gregorius. You brought back JT Realmuto. I knew that was going to happen. But they had a lot of good additions for that bullpen. You brought in Archie Bradley. I mean, you brought in Hector Rondon. You brought in Brandon Kinsler. Who else did they bring in? They added a few guys to that bullpen. Brought in Chase Anderson. They've added a lot of depth to this bullpen. Neftali Feliz they brought in on a minor league deal. So, I mean, heck, Ivan Nova, Matt Moore for some starting pitching depth. I think Matt Moore could be some kind of like a comeback player of the year kind of a guy. I actually really like what the Phillies did. They brought in a lot of guys. I like their offseason. I thought they had a pretty good offseason. And then trades, they brought in Jose Alvarado. They brought in Sam Coonrod. I mean, they made a lot of moves. I liked what the Phillies did. I think they could have used another better starting pitcher. I'm going to be honest with you. This one might sound a little crazy. But I want to give them an A. I really do. Is it enough for an A, though? They had a really good offseason. I'm going to go with a B. I think they had a good offseason. They addressed a need. They went right after that bullpen. They added a lot of depth guys. I think they could have used a guy, like a top-tier guy, like a Liam Hendricks or a Trevor Rosenthal. I'm going to give it a B. I think they went after what they needed to get after this offseason. I thought it was a decent offseason. I'm not going to go A for them because I think they just didn't add good enough quality talent. So I'm going to go B. I liked what they did. Going to the Pirates. You have to grade the Pirates in a different way this offseason. Because the Pirates, they're not competing. So you can't really grade the Pirates on, who they brought in. You got to kind of grade them on what they did for their own organization. So they did a lot. They actually did a lot this offseason. They got rid of Jamison Taillon. They got rid of Josh Bell, and they got rid of Joe Musgrove. They brought in a lot of good prospects. I think they lost that Joe Musgrove trade a little bit, but they did get Hudson Head in that trade. I thought that was pretty good. He's definitely a very talented prospect. You brought in like Eddie Yean and Will Crow. I really liked some of these prospects they brought in. They brought in a lot of good prospects. Miguel Yajuri, I think I said that right. They brought in a catcher and Andy Rodriguez. I like what the Pirates did. I do. I really do. They did what they needed to do. They needed to trade those guys. That's what I said for them in the beginning of the offseason. You needed to trade those guys, and they brought in some good quality prospects. I'm telling you, they didn't just bring in any like rinky-dink prospects. Sure, there was a couple of rinky-dink ones. They don't really stand out too much, but I really think they did fine. I like what the Pirates did. You have to remember with the Pirates, they're not going after anything. I mean, you all know this. So they had a different offseason than anyone else. Based off of them, this might be the surprise. I'm going to B. I'm going B with the Pirates because I think they did what they needed to do. They brought in good prospects. That's what they needed to do. They weren't winning anything this year. They did their job. Ben Cherington did their job. He did his job. He got rid of these guys. I like this. Again, you cannot grade this based off of what they did to try and win a World Series. Their goal was to improve that farm system, was to bring in young talent. For their goal, based off of what they needed to do this offseason, I'm giving them a B. They did great. I think they brought in a lot of good prospects. Again, it's not the same as, what the Braves or the Cardinals or, the Blue Jays or Dodgers or Mets were doing. Those guys are going after, playoffs and championships. The Pirates, they're going after, beefing up that farm system. And they did a great job. Brought in a lot of good quality prospects. So for that, I'm giving them a B. If you don't like it, well, I don't know what to tell you. Go have a sandwich if you don't like it. Here we go. Moving on to the Texas Rangers. This was an interesting one. This is a very interesting one for them. Not a lot of big name guys, but they brought in a lot of guys. Look at all these pluses. They did a lot of stuff. They brought in David Dahl. They brought in Kohei Arihara. I mean, they also brought in some young prospects as well. You brought in Delano DeShields. Mike Foltynewicz you brought in. Hey, Brock Holt. I love me some Brock Holt. But I thought they did pretty good in free agency. They made a couple of trades. Brought in Nate Lowe. You brought in Dane Dunning. I like what the Rangers did. I thought they did well. They subtracted some guys. Lance Lynn, they did well in the Lance Lynn trade, bringing in Dane Dunning. Elvis Andrus, they got rid of him, and you brought in a guy like a Chris Davis as well. I actually like what the Rangers did this offseason. I thought they did really well. I thought they brought in some major league guys that can kind of help out the team. They brought in some prospects as well. I like what the Rangers did. You know what? I was giving John Daniels a lot of crap, but you know what? Man, am I going to go a B for the Rangers? Nah, I'll go a C. I think they did fine this offseason. I think they did pretty good. Yeah, this might look crazy. I got the Pirates above the Rangers, right? Because, but again, the Pirates, I'm just saying the Pirates, they did a lot of prospects this offseason. Good for them. And then the Rangers, they'd made some solid moves. And they brought in a couple of prospects as well. I like it. I'd actually be willing to go a B with the Rangers. I'll go like a C+ for the Rangers. But I'll keep them in the C. But here we go. Next one, Tampa Bay Rays. This is an interesting one. I don't need this one anymore. Don't need that one. Here we go. Tampa Bay Rays. Very interesting offseason. Getting rid of Blake Snell. But you brought in a good package of prospects back with Luis Patino. Very good for them. But you are losing Blake Snell. You're definitely going to take some kind of a step back. Well, you never know. Could they still be really competitive this year? We'll have to wait and see. But Charlie Morton also on his way out too. Free agents. Here we go. They brought in a lot of free agents. They brought back some old names as well. Brought back a Chris Archer. You brought in Michael Wacha. You brought in Rich Hill. But they brought in what did I say earlier? I meant to say they did have to I said that right. I thought for a second that I said that they traded away Luis Patino. No, they got Luis Patino back. Okay, I'm good. But they had a lot of guys here. Ton of guys. Brian Colin McHugh as well. A lot of upside for them. But then trades as well, like I said. They made a weird trade. They traded away Ronaldo Hernandez, the number 14 prospect. They traded him to the Red Sox in division for Jeffrey Springs and Chris Mazza. That was so interesting. I don't know what they were doing with that. However, I did like the package that they brought in for Blake Snell. They had a really good package. Let's take a look, actually. Let's go to that trade. They had a good little package that they brought in. Here we go. Blake Snell to the Padres. As you can see here, the Rays on baseball trade values, they won this trade. The Padres had to overpay. You got a really good package of prospects here. Patino, this guy reminds me of Pedro a lot. Wilcox, hard-throwing guy. You could maybe see him in their bullpen this year at some point. I like this package that they got back for Snell. I thought they did pretty good. And you know what? Like for based off of how they spend, I thought they actually did fine. I thought they did a lot. I like Waka. I think he can end up being like a 4 ERA kind of a guy. McHugh, if he's healthy, that could be really good. Rich Hill, if they can manage him well, keep him on the field, that could be really good. Hey, Chris Archer, could you have a bounce back season? I don't like the offense very much, but you know what? I like what they did with Blake Snell. And you know what? I'm feeling a little generous. I'm going to go with a B. I'm going to go with a B for the Rays. I thought they did fine. It's never going to be great when you're losing Blake Snell and Charlie Morton, but they brought a lot of guys in, and they got Luis Patino, one of the top pitching prospects in the game. I thought they did fine. I think a lot of people are hating on the Rays offseason, but they actually made a lot of good moves. They brought in some young players. I'm going to go B. I'm feeling a little generous there. My Red Sox are next. So, very interesting offseason for the Red Sox. I can't wait for all the giraffe neck Robbies. Here we go. Alrighty, Red Sox, where are you at? But here we go. Chaim Bloom, I'll tell you, there was one point this offseason where I'm thinking, like, what the heck what is he doing? He's not doing anything. You brought in Hunter Renfroe at one point, and that was it. And then the next move, you brought back Martin Perez. And I'm thinking, what the heck is going on? Can someone please tell me what's happening with this team? Nothing was happening, but then the moves started to come in. You started bringing in some guys. You like I said, Hunter Renfroe, Martin Perez, they came back. You brought in a Kike Hernandez. You brought in a Matt Andriese for the bullpen. You brought in Garrett Richards for the rotation. Can he stay healthy? You don't know. Marwin Gonzalez, utility player. I think the Hirokazu Sawamura signing could end up being a low-key, really good signing. Just saying, I think that could end up being really good. This guy throws upper 90s with a splitter. I think this guy could end up being a closer. Have to wait and see. But they made some trades this offseason too. They got a good catching prospect, like I mentioned with the Rays, Ronaldo Hernandez. You got Franchy You did trade away Andrew Benintendi, but you got a really good upside bat in Franchy Cordero. You got back Josh Winkowski as well. That could be a decent middle relief kind of a guy, swingman kind of a guy. Adam Ottavino. You took on Adam Ottavino, and you basically got a prospect for free. You got the Yankees, I think he was the number 23 prospect. You got rid of Jeffrey Springs and Chris Mazza for the Rays' number 14 prospect. I'm sorry. If you want to call me biased, go for it, but I'm going B. I like what the Red Sox did. For what they needed to do, they needed to add depth. They needed to add flexibility. They got some prospects into that system. I thought the Red Sox did fine. I think Andrew Benintendi, you got back a really high upside power bat and a Franchy Cordero. Is it going to work out? I don't know, but I like it. I like what the Red Sox did. I'm going with a B. I thought it was a good offseason for them. It got off to a slow start, but it started to kind of get going. And they made the moves that they needed to make, and you could see them in contention at one point. So here we go. We're winding down, getting to the Reds. Oh boy, this Reds offseason was very interesting. Very interesting offseason for the Reds. Didn't even bring back Archie Bradley. You could have just literally just tendered him a contract for peanuts, and they decided not to do it. But Raisel Iglesias, they traded away. It didn't do anything. I mean, they made some trades. Nothing that's really standing out to me. But then free agents, nothing. They didn't really do anything. They brought in Sean Doolittle. I don't know. You brought in D. Gordon. You brought in guys on a minor league. I don't know, man. The Rays, I'm sorry. I'm going with an F. I'm going with an F for the Reds. I mean, I think that was just a terrible offseason. I mean, you went into last offseason like going for it. You had a good team. I liked their team. And they just had a bummer of an offseason. I'm going with an F. I didn't like their offseason at all. But that's pretty much all I have to say on that. Here we go. Here's an interesting one. The Colorado Rockies. I have made videos. I have made comments on why I think the Rockies did a good job in trading away Nolan Arenado. I know many of you who are still here are probably going to be thinking, huh? What do you mean? What do you mean they did good in that trade? But you know what? Let's take a look at that trade real quick. Nolan Arenado to the Cardinals. According to baseball trade values, hey, the Rockies actually won this trade. I'm just saying. They actually won this trade. Yeah, sure, they had to give up the money, but yeah, they made a bad signing. They had to kind of make up for their mistake of that long-term extension. They shouldn't have even signed him to that kind of an extension in the first place. But I actually liked what they did. You got back a guy in Gomber. You need starting pitching. That was fine. They got back some prospects. I like these prospects, a couple of these prospects they got back. You got back Montero. That could end up being your next third baseman down the road. Gill, a decent shortstop. Trevor Story's probably on his way out of town. I like what the Rockies did here. Yeah, you had to pay. You had to definitely send back some money. Not very good there. But overall, I think this is a good move for the Rockies. I think it's very good for them because they're getting out of this contract. They are not a New York Yankees, LA Dodgers, Red Sox payroll kind of a team. The Rockies, they're not that. And signing Arenado to that deal in the first place, I think was just silly. But I think they actually did pretty good. People are going to say, they fleeced. They'll make the jokes all they want. But I think the Rockies in the next few years, I think you're going to see them actually really benefit from getting rid of that contract. I'm telling you, these long-term contracts, these big contracts, they don't work out very often. They really don't. They don't really guarantee championships. They don't really do anything. You're just kind of throwing money down the drain a lot. I mean, the one big example is Albert Pujols. You brought Albert Pujols in, and what did he end up doing? I mean, he's a shell of himself. He's not doing anything. I think Nolan Arenado could end up being that in 5 years. But for the Cardinals for now, I think he's really going to help them. He's a better fit there. For the Cardinals, it was good for them to get Arenado. It was good for them. But for the Rockies, I think it was good for them to get out of that contract. But as for everything else, the Rockies just really didn't do anything. They didn't really do anything. So here we go, Colorado. All right, again, they didn't do anything. You brought in a whole bunch of minor league contracts. I mean, you brought in some. You did bring in some young guys, but I don't know. There's just not really anything going on. I think I'm going to give them some points for being able to get out of that contract. That's a lot of money that they got out of. They freed up about $150 million for that. I'm going to give them a D. I actually like that they got out of that contract, and I think that's going to help them in the next few off seasons. I think it's going to set them up more for, to sign other guys to fill in holes in other areas with the money that they would have given to Arenado. Telling you, a lot of these teams end up improving when they trade away, these guys on big contracts. Look at the Texas Rangers back in 2003. Traded away A-Rod. They won like 72 games in 2003 with A-Rod. They traded him away. You got back Alfonso Soriano, and they won 89 games the next year. So because they used that money that they were going to use on A-Rod for guys that they could fill in other positions. So I think that was actually really good for the Rockies to do, but they didn't really do anything else, so going with a D. So here we go. Moving on. We're getting down to it. Ooh, we got the Royals here. We got a fun one. Here we go. Kansas City Royals. Here we go. All righty. They made some trades, man, or they made one trade, but they did get rid of Khalil Lee, but I actually like Andrew Benintendi. I like Andrew Benintendi, but I like him on the Royals because I think he's going to fit that ballpark a little bit better. He's more of a gaps hitter. He gets a fresh start in Kansas City. Not so much of the lights on him. I think it's going to be good for him mentally. I think it's going to be good. And then free agents, they had quite an offseason bringing in some guys. You brought in Greg Holland. You brought in, who was the other one that they brought in? They brought in, just Greg Holland, but they brought in Mike. They brought him back on a 1-year deal. They brought in, who was the other guy they brought in? I'm going so blank on his name. Wow, I'm going like completely blank. Bullpen guy. Greg Holland. No, it was Greg Holland and, oh man, who was it? I'm going so blank right now. Anyway, but they brought in Mike Minor. You brought in Carlos Santana. You brought in Michael Taylor. You brought in Irvin Santana, too. He's not really going to do anything. Oh, Wade Davis. They brought in Wade Davis. That was right. Yeah, Wade Davis. Could he have a turnaround with Kansas City? I liked what they did. They made some moves. I thought they made some fun moves. And, yeah. I thought they had actually a pretty productive offseason. I liked what they did. And, I liked it. I liked it a lot. They did some moves that you probably didn't expect them to do. But I think they actually put a team out there. I like the effort that they're putting out there. I like it a lot. I'm going to go B. I actually just liked what the Royals did. They made some moves. Hey, that fan base is probably like, okay, all right, let's go after it. Let's go after it. I liked what they did here. So I'm going to give them a B. I thought they actually had a pretty fun offseason. So here we go. Final four. Going to the Tigers. Here we go. Not really much for the Tigers. Not really much. But, a lot of additions. But, you brought back Jonathan Shoup. You brought in Robbie Grossman. Thought that was okay. Brought Wilson Ramos in. Brought in Nomar Mazara. I thought they actually did okay. Trades, didn't really make any trades. I don't know. The Tigers just didn't really do anything. They didn't really bring back like any prospects in any trades or anything. They just made like a lot of kind of random free agent kind of moves. I don't know. I'm gonna go D for the Tigers. I thought it was kind of just like a whatever offseason. Here we go. Twins. Very interesting offseason for the Twins. Was hoping they would go after someone like a Trevor Bauer. Thought that would be pretty good. But hey, can't get everything we want. But here we go for the Twins. They had themselves a pretty productive offseason. Most recently, Matt Shoemaker they brought in, 1-year deal. Could he do something for them? You brought in Alex Colomé. Thought that was pretty good. J.A. Happ. I actually think J.A. Happ could end up having a good year with the Twins. I think, not really a great go in New York, but I think with the Twins, hey, the lights are a little lower in Minnesota, so I think Happ could end up having a decent year, like 12, 15 wins, maybe like a, low 4 ERA. I think it'll be fine. You brought in some other guys. Nelson Cruz you brought back. Thought that was good. They did lose Trevor May. Jake Odorizzi. Jake Odorizzi could still come back. They didn't really make anything trade-wise. I feel like I'm leaving someone out. Oh, they brought in Andrelton Simmons as well. I thought that was pretty good. I don't know. I thought it was a fine offseason. Nothing crazy, but I think they did what they needed to do to stay competitive. So I'll give the Twins a B. I'll give them a B. Here we go. Final two. We're going to the White Sox and the Yankees. Yankees and White Sox. Starting off with the White Sox. Here we go. Chicago White Sox. What a good offseason for them. Here we go. The big one. The Liam Hendricks move. That was the big one for them free agent-wise. You brought in Adam Eaton as well. I like that. Who was the other guy they brought in? I thought there was someone else that they signed. But no, you brought in Lance Lynn. Big move for the rotation. You had to get rid of a young starting pitcher in Dane Dunning, but I think it's worth it for a Lance Lynn. That's going to help them. Definitely. Absolutely, it's going to help them. If you go to the rotation right now, taking a look. I was talking about this last night when I was kind of doing my over-unders on the Bakota projections, but you have Lucas. I was talking about the top of their rotation still looks pretty good. Lucas Giolito, Dallas Keuchel, Lance Lynn at the top. I think if you get to the playoffs with that, that's going to be good. However, I wonder about the starting pitching depth overall, like going down the stretch. Are they gonna get hit with that injury bug? You can get these weird injuries, man. What happens if Lucas Giolito gets like a strained oblique and he's not good? What happens? What if he ends up missing a month? Are they going to have enough starting pitching to cover that? Dallas Keuchel, what if something's going on with him? Lance Lynn, what if something happens with him? They don't really have a lot of starting pitching depth. You got Michael Kopech, but he's a question mark. Sorry, he's a question mark. You can sit here and tell me everything you want, but I'm not a big fan of Dylan Cease. If we go take a look at Cease, I'm just not a fan. The FIP, he doesn't give up great contact. He doesn't get a lot of strikeouts. He walks a lot of guys. I'm not a fan of Dylan Cease at all. I love Kopech, but I don't know what he's going to be. I don't know. He's got all the talent in the world. Carlos Rodon. You take a look. I mean, the FIP was actually a lot better. And, well, he only had, 2 starts, 4 games. So I guess you can't read too much into that. But if you go back to 2018, I mean, I don't know. This is not really, I mean, he had a 3.62 FIP, so that's pretty good. ERA didn't look all that great. I don't know. Is this underwhelming? I don't know. I just think the White Sox, they needed to add more starting pitching depth. I would have been good with that. But other than that, there's not really too much. If we go take a look at the top prospects. Like I said, you got Kopech. I think Crochet is going to be big. I like Crochet a lot. But you got really like no other guys here that could step in right now. I'm just saying, if you were having to the, here we go. I'm just saying, if something happens with Lance Lynn, Lucas Giolito, one of those guys, like, strained oblique, something going on, shoulder inflammation, something like that, I don't know. I think the White Sox could be in some trouble. I'm just saying, they're going to have to really rely on these 5 guys to get through the season. I think you can. I'm just more worried about the injury bug. That's the only thing that I'm worried about. So, I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of Cease and Rodon. I would be fine with them if they had another guy. I don't know. That's why I think like a Jake Odorizzi would be pretty good. Give you some innings. I think that'd be fine. I don't know. That's the only thing I'm worried about. So I'm not going to give. And again, I see people saying Kopech in the chat. You have to understand, Kopech, what the heck is even going on with him? If he ends up stepping up in a big way, oh, absolutely. Awesome. That's going to be great. But we don't know if that's going to happen. He hasn't done anything. He had Tommy John. He's had his off-the-field problems. You don't know what he's going to do. But I love the bullpen. Love the bullpen. I think this bullpen has a lot of potential. Hendricks, Bummer, Crochet. I mean, you got Marshall there too. Really like the bullpen. So, again, I just think they could use another starting pitcher or 2. But overall, I am going to give the White Sox an A. I think they did well. I think they definitely added some good guys here. They definitely did well. I think they definitely have the potential. They could have had the potential to be an A+, but I don't know. I don't think they just did enough starting pitching wise. Lance Lynn was big, but I like the bullpen. I think Adam Eaton was pretty good too. But yeah, good offseason for the White Sox. Good offseason. But here we go. Last but not least, we have made it to the end. The Yankees. It's funny with the Yankees because I'm seeing a lot of back and forth on whether or not the Yankees had a good offseason. I'm in the camp. I think they had a great offseason. I think they did really well. I think just a lot of people were kind of, with the Yankees, you see a lot of Yankee fans. I mean, hey, no offense to Yankee fans. And my best friend is a Yankee fan, and he'll tell me this too. He says a lot of Yankee fans are point blank. Not all of them. A lot of them. They're just point blank. They can just be kind of babies sometimes. And I think you have those Yankee fans out there that will... You have those Yankee fans that are, hey, they stand by what Brian Cashman does. They stand by what they do for their organization. But then you got those Yankee fans out there too that say, oh, come on. We got all the money in the world. We got to go spend the money. We got to go get these guys. But that's not what the Yankees are now. That's not what the Yankees are. They're just not that team anymore. And based off of how they are now, I think they did great. So, going to the offseason tracker. Alrighty, free agents. So the big one right off the bat, DJ LeMahieu. He was one of the first big names to come off the board. So DJ LeMahieu, you were able to bring him back. I thought that was great. I think they could have survived without him. I think you could have made some moves to, keep your team very competitive still. And I think they would have been able to fill in that gap. But overall, DJ LeMahieu, I mean, he has done great with the Yankees. I thought that was definitely a good signing for them. But then they brought in some other guys as well. If you take a look here, Corey Kluber, that was the next guy they added. I think there's a big upside kind of a move. I think Kluber, if you can get back to anything close to that Kluber that you had not too long ago, holy crap, that's a number 2 right there. And you got him for what, $11 million. They also brought in, Jamison Taillon through a trade. That's a lot of upside right there. A lot of upside. If we go take a look at the trades that they made, they got rid of Ottavino. They basically gave him away. Basically, they gave up a prospect to get rid of him. That's going to open up a spot in the bullpen. They brought in Darren O'Day. So, hey, Jamison Tyon, they brought in Greg Allen for the bench. I like that. I like this Yankees team. I think this Yankees team has a lot. Jay Bruce he brought in, Robinson Chirinos recently, Derek Dietrich. I like this team. I think there's a lot this team they have a really good shot this year. I think there's a lot of upside, but I really like what this team did. I actually do. You're not seeing like that big star that they brought in, but they made a lot of just really solid moves. I like it. But again, not bringing back Tanaka. Oh, super chat coming in. David Knight, $5 super chat. You think Chirinos replaces Sanchez? Maybe. Hey man, we'll have to wait and see what Sanchez does. Hey, for his sake, I hope he gets his defense right. Hope he gets that offense clicking a little bit. But Gary Sanchez, he has a lot to work on. But Chirinos replacing him? I don't know. I don't know about that. But hey, who knows? It's possible. But I like what the Yankees did. I hate the Yankees. I will always hate the Yankees. Our arch rivals. But hey, I gotta tell it like it is. They had a good offseason. I thought they did really well. You know, they didn't spend a ton of money. They did what they had to do. And I think they're still under the luxury tax. They're still under the luxury tax. I think the Yankees did good. I think they did good. I'm going to give them an A. I think the Yankees had a good offseason. Very good offseason. A solid offseason for the Yankees. But alrighty, there's my list. I think this is what I'm at right now. I'm gonna go with the Mets, Padres as an A+. Blue Jays, Dodgers, White Sox, Yankees with an A. I would be willing to go. Are we lagging? We still here? Oh, okay. I saw my screen lagging. But White Sox, I could see an argument to drop them down to a B. I could definitely see them here. I could, because I think they needed to add maybe like another starting pitcher. But for what they did, I really liked what they did. Braves, Cardinals, Nationals, Phillies, I definitely think are Bs. They made some pretty decent moves. Oh man, I keep lagging on my screen. All right, it looks like we're doing all right. Hey, this one might be the surprise of this one, the Pirates. I just really like what the Pirates did. I thought they added in a lot of good prospects. They're not doing anything this year. They needed prospects. They did a great job bringing in prospects. I like it. I'm giving them a B. Rays, I could be willing to go down to a C. I could be willing. But you know what? I think for what they had to do, based off of the circumstances that they have as an organization, not a lot of payroll flexibility, but they brought in a lot of guys. I just kind of like the strategy that they had. They kind of went with like a divide and conquer kind of a thing. They just brought in you're losing like a big guy in Snell. So they brought in like a few little pieces to try and patch up the holes. You got a Luis Patino, one of the top pitching prospects in the game. I thought that was awesome. I mean, honestly, if you're trading away Blake Snell and you're getting back a Luis Patino, I think that was pretty good. If you ask me, I think the Red Sox did fine. I think they got off to a slow start this offseason, but they added a lot of flexibility. They added a lot of depth. They added some prospects. I think the Red Sox did really good. Royals, I'd be willing to go down to a C, but you know what? My heart is feeling the Royals. I just like the moves that they made. They were one of these small market teams, and they stayed active. They made moves. Twins, to be honest with you, with the Twins, a little disappointed with the Twins. I think they could have maybe made a couple good moves. And I still think they have some time. They could bring back Odorizzi still. But, again, going over the C's, Angels, I'm just a little underwhelmed with their offseason. I think you could make an argument that they had a B of an offseason. I think you could have an argument, but I'm just a little underwhelmed because I'm just tired of them. They just never really seem to I don't know. They didn't add a big starting pitcher that they needed. The Athletics, they weren't really doing too much, but Trevor Rosenthal definitely brought them up from a D to a C. Indians, I thought they did fine, having to get rid of Francisco Lindor. Brought in a decent package back. The Mariners, I thought did pretty good. Nothing crazy, but I think they did pretty solid. Rangers, I think, did pretty solid. And then for the Ds, I think the Astros didn't really do a lot. The Brewers, they added a couple of pieces, but not a lot. The Cubs, they made some moves, but I don't know. Giants didn't really do anything to me. Marlins didn't really do anything. Orioles didn't really do anything. Rockies, I'm only giving them a D because they were able to get out of that Nolan Arenado contract, and I think that's going to set them up for the next few off seasons. Tigers, I don't know. They kind of just didn't do anything really crazy. And my two worst off seasons were the Diamondbacks and the Reds. I just think personally, I don't know. They just didn't really do anything. They didn't do anything. The Diamondbacks did nothing. You brought in I'm going blank. Who was the guy that brought in again? It was who was the guy they brought in? I'm going so blank right now. Oh, Joakim Soria. They brought in Joakim Soria. But that was it. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. I don't know what they did. And the Reds, like, forget the Reds. What did they even do? They didn't do anything. They brought in Sean Doolittle. So, I don't know. But that's where I'm at, everyone. That's where I'm at. So, yeah. That is all, folks. That is all. That is all I got. But yeah, I'll hang out for a few minutes, and then I'll start to get out of here. I got to get to bed here in a little bit. We got some work in the morning, but already, everyone. So, hey, Q&A. If you guys want to throw in some questions in the super chats, whatever, throw something in the chat for me, go for it. Here we go. Let's turn this music off. There we go. But alrighty. Oh, now how on? You're lagging? Or it looks like we're okay now. Looks like we're okay. Braves should be an A. I could argue with the A. I think the Braves could be an A. With the Dodgers, I'm not going A+ with the Dodgers just because, I don't know. I just think I don't know. You can make an argument for it. You can make an argument. I'm just going to go A. I don't know. Could you make an argument for A+? Let me go back. Oh, let's take a look. I mean, like I said, you brought in Trevor Bauer, so that's pretty good. You brought back Justin Turner. Canely. Yeah. I could definitely see an argument for an A+. Absolutely could. And then the trades, it makes some pretty decent trades, too. I'd be willing to go to an A+ for the Dodgers. I'd be willing to go A+. I think they had a pretty good offseason. I think they had a really good offseason. So, absolutely not. We are not doing a freaking hair reveal. That's not happening. I am actually growing out my hair right now. So, maybe once we get to I don't know, like 6 more months, maybe I'll do it then. 6 months. A 24-hour stream. Absolutely not. Well, I am not doing a 24-hour stream. If I get to 100,000 subscribers, I'll do a 24-hour stream. I will absolutely do a 24-hour stream. Only if we get to 100K, though. Only if we get to 100K. Morton going to be big for the Braves. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think he's going to be big. Hopefully he can just stay healthy. Oh, Zach, I really appreciate that, my friend. Hopefully the Sox can have a good year. Honestly, I don't know if I could even do 24 hours. Like, I don't even know if I have the attention span. Man. Could you imagine if we have 100K subscribers at that point, and then, good grief, like how many people we could have in the chat? There'd be like so many super chats coming through. Oh my God. That'd be crazy. I might fall asleep. That'd be crazy. Robbie, who will be in the AL and NLCS? Banana, I am not revealing my predictions right now, my friend. You're going to have to be here for the live prediction show. That's going to be the week of the season starting. So, Mets thoughts. I think the Mets have a very good team this year. Very good team. Hopefully they can stay okay health-wise. That would be good. Good for them. I think they have a good team to really make a run. You think Charlie Morton could be the most underrated signing? Sure. I think that's going to be more, it's kind of a wait and see come playoff time. I think they brought him in for the playoffs. They needed that kind of a picture in the playoffs this past season, and they didn't have that picture. So to me, Charlie Morton is for the playoffs. So keep him healthy throughout this season. I think it's going to be pretty good. Robbie, tell your students that bananas are cool. Do any of my students eat bananas at snack? We have snack time in our classroom. Do any of them ever eat bananas? I don't know. They eat like Doritos and stuff. They eat like, Chips Ahoy and Oreos and Lunchables. I do like bananas. Bananas are pretty good. Definitely good in protein shakes. Love those. Do I do classes through Zoom or in person? I do both, actually. I have 12 kids in the classroom, and then I have 5 kids at home on the iPad. So I have a hybrid classroom. Overrated player in today's game. I think Tyler. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Tyler Glasnow. I think he's very, very talented. I need to see more from him, though. I just think he's a two-pitch pitcher. I don't know. The guy throws hard and stuff, but he gives up a lot of home runs. And I don't know. I need to see more out of him. Yeah, David, you're starting to see more kids come back. The 4 kids that I have at home, I do hope they come back to school for the last 9 weeks. That would be really good. I have a couple at home that seriously need to come back to the classroom because they're not making like any progress at home. So, Bobby Ross, the overpay. $24 million per year. It's not bad. It's not bad. I wouldn't say it's an overpay. I mean, you're getting the best years out of him in that contract. I think it's pretty good. Our teacher workday's fun. Yeah, I'd say they can get tiring. I like my class this year. My class is pretty cool this year, so definitely pretty good. Who do I think is going to be the best out of the players the Red Sox brought in? I don't know. I think they all have the potential to bring in something unique. I think Garrett Richards, I think he could end up being like a really solid pitcher, get his career back on track. He did a little bit this past year with the Padres. I like what Kike Hernandez brings to the team. I'm going to tell you right now, I actually think Hirokazu Sawamura could end up being like the best low-key signing this whole offseason. I think that guy throws hard, got a nasty splitter. I think that guy could end up being a really good closer. Doug, DH universal or AL? Universal. I'm absolutely universal DH guy. I mean, I'm definitely biased as I had David Ortiz for how long on the Red Sox. So, but alrighty, everyone. I'm going to start getting out of here. I'm starting to get tired. I got to get some sleep. I got to wake up in the morning. But everyone, before I do get out of here, hit that subscribe button for me. If you are still new and you have yet to hit that subscribe button, think about hitting the subscribe button. We're trying to get to 6K by opening day. So think about hitting that subscribe button. Hit that like button for me, everyone, before we get out of here. That's going to help this stream get out to more fans that can come and watch later on. And go follow me on Twitter if you want to talk some baseball throughout the day. But alrighty, everyone, that's all I got for tonight. I want to thank you so much for coming out tonight. Be on the lookout for more streams next week. I think what I'm planning on doing for next week is I'm going to start previewing each position. I'm going to rank my top players at each position. So, yeah, be on the lookout for those next week. We're going full preview mode now. So, everyone, that is all I have. Again, thank you so much for coming out tonight. And, as always, I'll talk to you next time.